my name is Jack and I am here today to show you how to make a Japanese cheesecake. Now, what makes this cheesecake different from an American cheesecake, I think the most famous one is the New York cheesecake, is that this one is more spongy. Now, this cake was originated in Japan, as the name states, and the chef who created it was Tomotaro Kozuno. Now, he got this cake, he was inspired by a German baker who created, I don't know how to say it, Käsekuchen. It's German, so Käsekuchen cheesecake. He went there in 1960s in Berlin and brought back this cake and created his own cheesecake. Now, these are the basic ingredients you need for it, and it is whole milk, cream cheese, white fine sugar, flour. You want cake flour or plain flour with corn flour. Yeah? Do we know the difference? No? Cake flour has levadura in it, so it rises on its own. If it's plain flour, farina normal, you need something to help it rise, so levadura. And butter to finish it. Then we will make a meringue. You know what a meringue is? No? Merengue. Merengue, meringue, it's French. Does anybody know the French? No? It's, what was it called? Merengue, I think?
Merengue.
Merengue.
It's eggs mixed up with lots of
and sugar. Yeah? And we end off with egg yolks. So we got egg whites and egg yolks. Yeah? Yolks are the inside of the egg, la yema. Whites are the outside. Okay? So I'll start by measuring. I've got my measuring scale. And we'll start with cream cheese, we will need 160 grams of cream cheese, more or less. Next, we will need 20 grams of butter, 20 grams of butter. Now, it's important the butter is room temperature. Anybody know what that means? Room temperature? Temperatura ambiente, correct. So we will need 20 grams, that's 10 and 10 more. So we got butter, cream cheese. Now we also need some milk. Milk. 50 milliliters of milk. Next up, we have flour. We need 40 grams of cake flour. 40 grams of cake flour. To finish off, sugar. White fine sugar. We need 80 grams. There we go. Now we could add lemon, but I personally don't like lemon, so I will leave it out. Now, to start with, we will get a glass, heat-proof. Anybody know what heat-proof means? Heat-proof means resistente al calor. So we're going to put it over boiling water. So we need heat-proof glass. And we will now add cream cheese. We start with a spatula, and we will soften the cream cheese. So we want to smush it around, smush, smush, and get it creamy. Now we do this so it doesn't clump. Clump means big pieces. We want it easy to mix up with. We got that. Now, we will get our boiling water and add it to a pot. Now we place this over the boiling water. Do we know what this is called? This process. Do we know what a bowl over boiling water means? Bain Maria. Do we know what we call it in English? Well, we call it bain marie, which is a French word. Bain marie. Now, to this, we add room temperature butter, important room temperature, and we grab a whisk. Now with a whisk, we just whisk. Try and get it nice and combined. So, I discovered this recipe online, really, on YouTube. I really like cooking. My father showed me when I was young, because he was a chef, and also was my grandfather. Now, because of that, he was always cooking and always doing different dishes at home. Indian, Chinese, that was well. Any dish I could find, I tried to cook. So I found this one. Now, while it's still on the heat, we add some milk. And keep whisking. So, I've always liked to cook. I started cooking when I was young. What was it like when I was maybe 10? Yeah. And I've always wanted to do different things, so I'm always looking for different recipes. And I started doing this recipe probably 5 years ago. and I've been tweaking, changing little bits to it every time until I found the way I like. Now this is nice and combined. To this, now we remove. Yeah? Now this is what it's supposed to look like. Can you more or less see? It's sick. This consistency. Yeah? So it's liquidy. Now to this, we will add a sieve, and we will sieve the flour. You grab it and hit it against your own hand, and as you see, it just pours on the mix. Right. Now we grab our whisk again, and off the heat we whisk until combined. Right, this cake, it wasn't that famous in Japan until a restaurant called, what's it called? Uncle Tetsu's cheesecake shop made it famous. And this cake also got inspiration from Castella cake. Anybody know that cake? No? Nobody hears it? It's Portuguese. It's a Portuguese sponge cake. It's actually esponjoso, like spongy. And they introduced it to Japan in the 16th century. The traders, traders, yeah, do we know what traders are? Els que transportaven comerç. So they trade different things into Japan, into the only available port to foreigners. Foreigners? Són estrangers. Foreign is... Yeah. Now they took it into Nagasaki port, which was the only port in Japan that accepted foreigners. Now they took the Castella cake to Japan, and that was one of the inspirations for this cheesecake. Right, now to the mix, once it's well combined, we will add egg yolks. Yeah? So egg yolks, 4 egg yolks into the mix. Break up the egg yolk and mix. Right. Now, through the years, this cake went changing, because Japanese have different tastes from people in Spain or people in China. They usually have a sweeter palate, I would say. Yeah, so they changed the recipe to make it more appealing. Appealing means, what would you say appealing? Yeah, they like it more. So appealing, what's the word for it?
They like it better.
Yeah, els hi agrada més, per així dir-ho. Now, they chose to put jam on there. Yeah, jam, do we know? Jam is marmelada. They like jam, they like red beans, mongetes vermelles, but red bean paste, que és una pasta de mongetes vermelles. Right. Once we've finished whisking, we put it aside and grab a clean, dry bowl. Important that it's dry. Dry is sec. Important because there we go. We're going to make meringue. Yeah? Meringue, remember? Merengue? So we grab our electric whisk.
And you have Thermomix.
Yes, but it's better with this. Because you can get more air with this. It's important to air the merengue. Otherwise it's runny. Runny as liquidy. Yeah? Right, let's move this out of the way. Right, so we have clean, dry bowl and 4 egg whites. Yeah? We add the egg whites. And we start to mix. Yeah? We want to mix until it bubbles up. Yeah? Bubbles up means fins que surti una mica d'espuma. Yeah? It will do a bit of noise. We want it medium speed. Yeah? I don't know if you can see, but start to bubble up. Now we grab sugar and we pour in 1/3 of the sugar. 1/3 of the sugar. The sugar will help it rise, will help it aerate, airejar, and thicken. Thicken is com posar-se més verd. It's starting to foam up a little bit. Yeah, see it? And we add some more sugar, another 1/3. Now full speed. Now once combined, add the rest of the sugar. Now it's starting to thicken even more. Okay? Now, we can see it's a lot thicker now. It's not runny, no es líquid. So, we want stiff peaks. Stiff as dur y peaks són puntes. Puntes dures. Now, it's not quite there, so I want to hit it a little bit more. Just get rid of that. Do we have a... I'll just put it in there. No. So now we have that done. You can see it's foaming. Yeah? Now this is the secret of having spongy and light cake. If you don't do the meringue right, it won't be fluffy. It'll be compact. Yeah? So once we have this, we want to add it slowly to our mix. We will grab a spatula and add 1/4 of the meringue to the mix. Now, with the whisk, we don't want to deflate. Deflate means treure l'aire. So there is air in the meringue. If we mix it too much, it will deflate. So we want to slowly, top to bottom, mix. We want to slowly mix, grabbing from the walls and going all the way to the bottom. Right, we can already see it's starting to have a different appearance. It's not so doughy, not so liquidy, and it's getting a bit fluffier, like airy. Right, that's combined. It's important we don't overmix. Overmix is baralhar massa. Otherwise, we take all the air again. Another 1/4. And we mix again. Right. Right now in Japan, there's different kinds of cheesecake, but the most important or most famous, considered one of the best cheesecakes in Japan, is in a cheesecake shop in a mountain near Tokyo, which is called Pablo's Cheesecake. Now you can go there for a hike, and I think it's quite expensive. I didn't look at the prices, but they do go quite high. Now we have we have half of the merengue into the mix, and we're ready to fold. Folding means to grab from the bottom and lift on the top. Yeah? So we grab and we put on top. Yeah? We grab from the bottom and put on top. That way we make sure that any mix stuck to the bottom is put on the top, basically. And we can mix it properly. Now we do that just for like 20 seconds. And then we add the mix to the merengue. Make sure to get everything. Slowly. Try not to throw it on the merengue. Put it on the side and then you mix them together. Now, we got everything in here and we slowly mix it all together until combined. We don't want to overmix it again because we'll lose the air. And any sponge cake that uses merengue, you don't want to overmix because of that, because we'll lose the air. Now slowly mix. and get the edges as well, so you don't lose anything. If you leave stuff on the edge of the bowl, later on when you scoop it, you'll have little bits of either flour or sugar or anything that could clump up. Clump means like ajuntar-se e deixar como na bola. For the fluffiest cake, you want it nice and even. Even as tudo igual, homogéneo. Right. The cake is combined. Now we will fold it again. Grab our spatula, scrape the sides, all the sides, and fold. Now, this recipe, this one, wants a mould. A mould. Tin mould is one of these. Yeah? Tin mould. This one is 20 centimeters. But for this recipe, it's too big. It's the only one I had, so it's the one I brought. But you want 18, 16 maybe, but this one is too big. Now, once we fold the ingredients in, now we grab the mould and parchment paper. Yeah, parchment paper is parchment paper. Now, the way I cut it for the tin, I got the sheet, the sheet of paper, I fold it in half again, and then the middle crease, la punta del mig, I fold that. Yeah? Then I fold it one more time. Make sure they're more or less the same. And from the middle, you put the bun, more or less the middle, and where your finger is, you cut. So, when you open it, the other side. Yeah? Now, you can also use oven spray, which is a spray that you spray in here and it makes it non-stick antiadherente. I prefer for these, normal cakes is okay, but for spongy cakes, cakes that you cook at low temperatures, it's better to use parchment paper because it sticks. Okay? So, parchment paper in, grab our batter, our mix, and slowly over the spatula, pour it in. Doing it over the spatula prevents it from making too many bubbles. You can see how much air there's in the batter. You can see a lot of little bubbles. That's good. We don't want big bubbles. In we go. More or less. Try and get everything in there. Right. Now, what you want to do to take any bubbles that could be in there, you get a chopstick, un palillo, palilloncino, and you start swirling, making circles in the batter. Yeah? What that does is pulls any bubble that may be in there and pulls it out. So that way we have a smoother sponge. Yeah? You can do that for a while, for a minute or two, or you can grab it and drop it. Yeah? So when you drop it, the bubbles push up. So if you could see it, you can see all the bubbles going up. It's a bit loud, but sorry. You want to do that a few times, maybe 5 to 10 times. You lift it, drop it, and the bubbles come out. Yeah? A couple more. And that's probably good to go. Now, when we cook or bake this cake, you don't want a tray like this. You want a deep oven tray. Yeah? Do we know what a tray is? What would you call? Yeah, una safata fonda, because we're going to put. First of all, we're going to turn the oven on, preheat the oven. Preheat means precalentar. So preheat the oven at 120, if I'm not mistaken. Oh no, that's the other case, sorry. This one is 160 degrees Celsius. Right, so once we got it preheated with the oven tray in, we open and pour, yeah? So we got boiling water and we pour in the tray. We want, it doesn't matter how much water, but we want about that much. The tray may be smaller or bigger, so it depends on the tray. You will use more or less water, yeah? But you want about that much, just like a thumb, yeah? So once we're ready to go, the oven is preheated with boiling water. We will put the mold in the center, yeah? And close it and wait for 20 minutes, more or less, until it rises a little bit. Rise is capuggi una mica. Now, once it's risen, we will open the door, the oven door open for 10 seconds. Let the steam and the hot air come out so it cools a little bit. Yeah? Obrirem la porta I deixarem que surti el vapor I la calor perquè es refredi una mica. Now we will close the door and lower the temperature to 110 degrees Celsius. Yeah? Baixarem la temperatura a 110. 110. Now, at this temperature, we will cook for an additional 60 minutes. Yeah, 60 minutes més in the oven, and that will go on and it'll rise a little bit more and it'll firm up inside. Now, once that time is finished, you can either turn it off, open the door again so all the steam comes out, and close it for 5 minutes depending on how you like it. Yeah? Depenent de com us agradi, you can leave it for 5 minutes with the oven off. Yeah? Or you can take it out. when you take this cake out at the start, it's similar to a souffle. Yeah? Un souffle. It's... What is do you know? Yeah. It's similar to souffle. It's very spongy, even mousse-like, una mousse. It's similar, just when you take it out. When it rests, cuando descansa una mica, it toughens up, it firms up, and it's almost like a sponge. So, depending on how you like it, you can have it just warm or completely cooled down. Yeah. They used to have this cake in Japan. The sailors, yeah. Sailors són els mariners. They used to take these cakes because they lasted a long time. It was easy to maintain. Era fàcil de mantenir, aquest pastís. It didn't go off quick. Now it's a bit less, so it's a bit harder because we use this kind of butter and eggs. Before, abans feien servir altres ingredients, and it was easier to keep. But now, not so much. Now, I made one at home and brought for you to give a little taste. This one's a little different. It's not as fluffy because I did a big batch. Yeah, when you do smaller cakes, it comes out different. The bigger the cake, the more compact it is. So, for this cake, it's different than this cake. It's more or less the same flavour, it's just different texture. Yeah? So, how are we going to do it? Yeah? Sure. So I'll walk around and help and give you a little piece. Right? If you want, yeah. If you want to grab a tissue.
This is the finished cake.
Nobody is lactose intolerant, right? No? Right. Good. Yeah.
How about the butter? Oh, butter. He is the chef, not me. His dad was the chef, not me.
Right. So, thank you very much. So I will quickly go over the recipe again for anyone who didn't catch the first time. So, the ingredients we have cream cheese, 160 grams of cream cheese. We have 60 grams, sorry, cream cheese, yes. Then we have 20 grams of unsalted butter. Now, you should use unsalted. Unsalted is senza sal, because if you use salted, it might be a bit salty after. Yeah, so better use unsalted butter. Next, we have 50 grams or 50 milliliters of whole milk, llet sencera. Then we have 40 grams of cake flour. You can also change, if you look up online, you can look for the conversion. Yeah? Si mireu online, podeu mirar a què equival si feu servir plain flour and maizena. You put like 40 grams or 50 grams of cake flour and it does the conversion for you. Next up, we had 80 grams of sugar, fine white sugar. You can also add lemon if you want. You add it to the first mix, not the meringue, but the mix. Yeah. Then we have 4 egg whites. Excuse me. For the meringue, and 4 egg yolks for the mix. Now, shall I go over the cook time?
Just in the cooking time.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, we got a preheated oven, un forn precalentat, at 160 degrees Celsius. Then we want an oven tray with boiling water and clothes. Yeah, that's while preheating. When we put the cake in, we leave it for 20 minutes. When that time is over, we open the door so the steam comes out and the heat comes out. Close the door and lower to 110 degrees Celsius for an extra 60 minutes. Once that is when that is over, we turn the oven off and we can either take the cake out or leave for 5 minutes more, depending if you want it stiffer or firmer or not so firm. Then before eating, if you want it firmer, yeah, firmer es més compacta. If you want it firmer, you need to let it chill for 1 hour, more or less. And that's it. Use a sharp knife. Heu de fer servir un ganivet afilat, perquè si no el trenqueu, you'll break the cake. It's that delicate. Yeah? So, that was a Japanese cheesecake. Any questions?
Why did you choose a singular toaster?
That's just because my mother is lactose intolerant and we're going to eat this one, so.
As well.
So you can use without lactose. It doesn't make too much of a difference. It's just that with lactose, it's a little bit creamier, but it doesn't. Any other questions? No? Right. Thank you.